Right, main objectives of today. What is a flipped classroom? Okay, so we're going to be looking at that. Why flip the classroom? How to flip the classroom? And what does a flipped classroom look like? What's up?
You need an assistant.
I do need an assistant.
I am the assistant.
I'll want to get into it a bit better. Now, this is the official definition of a flipped classroom in language that... The flipped classroom is a pedagogical model in which the typical lecture and homework elements of the course are reversed. So basically, what you would normally teach in your classroom gets done at home. The homework that you might normally set gets done in the classroom. Now, it doesn't work for every subject, I'm sure. There's some where that art is physically possible. No. But this is how we're sort of looking at it in science. I know Matt's going down this route as well for a few things. It's not for every single lesson. But it's something to try. I'll go through some of the reasons behind it in a bit. Okay, essentially, what we're trying to do is turn lessons that look like that, obviously a maths lesson, and homework that looks like that, into homework that looks like that, and lessons that look like that, or vice versa, whichever way around they're supposed to be. Okay? So why flip? Well, there are lots of reasons. These are all the things basically that we were talking about on Wednesday. Creates a supportive classroom, develops a higher order thinking skills, empowers the learners, engages the learners, adds relevance to what they're learning, can be used for differentiation, accessibility, and in your case, it can be creative on your part, but also creative for the students. A supportive classroom, because, well, I'll go into that in a second. The main thing, why flip, why not? If all these reasons are reasons to flip, then why not flip? That's all teacher speak, that's all the kind of things we talked about on Wednesday. Why do I want to flip? Some of this comes from a book called The Homework Myth. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything you're going to see, but I do agree with it in part. As a physics teacher, I'm quite used to going through a lesson, setting homework, students taking it away, and those that can do it really well. Those that can't do it, don't do it. And there's not really any benefit from the student. Because the one that can do it anyway. So we're not really reinforcing anything at home. And this is kind of the idea behind this book. This is the author being interviewed.
Doesn't it sort of reinforce what you learn in school? Isn't that important?
Well, the word reinforce comes from the work of folks who work with lab animals. It's about producing behaviors automatically, not about helping understanding. So not only do kids not tend to become better thinkers as a result of having to work what is in effect a second shift after they finish 6 or 7 hours in school, but it often undermines their interest in learning, and that's where it's not merely pointless, it's damaging if it's evaporating kids' curiosity.
Okay, so really, kids, think about the point of homework. Why are we doing it? And how can we make it more effective? But not only that, how can we make our class time more effective? If all we're doing in class is what I'm doing now, trying to teach you something new, what about the supportive element? Helping students to then develop their higher learning skills, and that analysing things, evaluating things. When does that come in? Because that's the harder stuff to do. The lower end, the memory, remembering things, can be done at home. Okay, so I just want you to watch this next video. Now, some of you will have seen something like this before. And if you have, don't worry about it. Just follow the instructions.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes.
Anybody got 16 passes? Anybody see the gorilla? Who saw the gorilla? Anybody not see the gorilla? Did everybody see the gorilla? Okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game?
Anybody notice those? You thought you were all clever because you've seen the gorilla before. Yeah. The problem is, when you're looking for the gorilla, you don't notice the other things going on. And that's another problem with sort of lecture style teaching, certainly, is, I know when I first started teaching, I did exactly what my teachers did. I wrote everything on the board and expected everybody to copy it down. And that's how I taught my lessons. I think I spoke to people and I did all kinds of things. But while you are writing on the board, and the kids are copying it down, they're focusing on copying it down, focusing on getting that right. They're not listening to what you're saying. They're looking at the gorilla. They're not actually listening to the bit that links everything together, the bit that you're talking about. So, I mentioned this to somebody just over a year ago, and he said, what about a flip lesson? And I like the idea, and I'm sort of desperate to get in and try a few things. You'll see a few sample videos in a minute of how students learn at home and what kind of things you can do. But the idea basically is send them home. Their homework will be to watch a video, read something on the internet, to do the learning, the basic learning. They come into class then prepared for what would normally be the homework, or the discussion, or the debate, or the higher learning skills. Okay? Getting videos, if you want to make videos, that's great. It takes a lot of time. What you can do is record lessons. That's what's going on here. You're unfortunate, you're the first group to come through this. Okay, the second group might just get the video. I won't have to do any talk. Video everything. Okay? Mrs. Press over here is a little bit annoyed that the video camera went with us all holiday over the summer and everything got videoed. There's software you can use to capture what's on your screen, which is useful because then if you already have a PowerPoint that you might use in a lesson, you can actually video that from your screen and then let the students go through that as a video. Search on the internet. There are lots of things on the internet.
If you don't like the sound of your own voice, you can always use an avatar.
If you don't like the sound of your own voice, you can always use an avatar. One thing I find, if I do try and do a voiceover, is I sound very monotonous. It all sounds very scripted, which is why I prefer to have a live audience. Hence this. Posting videos so that students can see them. Plenty of places you can put them. Maths department have their own blog site where things get put on there, or links get put on there. The VLE, we've got Moodle. Video hosting websites such as YouTube, those are available. You can put your videos on there. So where does it link to that? Creates a supportive classroom. But instead of the students slogging away at home, not being able to do their homework, they've got your support while they're doing it. The higher order thinking, the basic stuff gets done at home. The higher order thinking skills get learned in the classroom, again with your support. The students in many cases can choose what they learn, depending on what videos they look at. They're engaged. Well, there is now a verb to YouTube. It's not in the Oxford English Dictionary yet, but it's in common use. Students, when they go home, very often spend hours sitting on YouTube, following one video to the next, to the next, to the next. It's what they do. Let's jump onto it. Adds a bit of relevance to what you're talking about, as you'll see from a couple of the videos later on. Okay, you might see some slightly different examples of physics in action. Differentiation. Okay, they can go at their own pace. You can even, the ESL learners, put subtitles on your video in different languages. You can even put the audio in different languages if you have those skills. Accessibility, again, they're learning at their own pace. You can pause a video, you can't pause a teacher. They can make whatever notes they want to make. They're not doing that in class time when they're not listening to the teacher. And you can be as creative as you like, depending on what skills you have. So here's some examples. I can't show you the first one, unfortunately, because the internet's not working at the moment. But the Khan Academy, if you Google that, it's got over 3,000 videos from all subjects. So from history, geography, maths, science. They're not particularly exciting. It just looks like a blackboard with somebody writing electronically on it and talking over it. You might find YouTube streams. There's somebody called Mr. Flipping Physics on YouTube, I don't know who that is. He posts a few videos up there every now and then, basically in response to students' questions. So this is a student's question about the difference between mass and weight and the confusion that always causes. And I basically said, well, next time you're in a hotel, you need to have a set of bathroom scales in the hotel room, go into the elevator, stand on the scales, go up and down in the elevator, see what happens. Well, the next week I was in a hotel. They had some bathroom scales in the bedroom, went up and down, and this is the resulting video. Okay, these videos don't have to be super David Attenborough narrated kind of things. This is just a simple video, but because it's simple, what you do with it after that is the important bit as well. The students, like I said, they can take the measurements. IGCSE students, it can help them understand the difference between mass and weight, or weightlessness in space. IB students, it goes a lot further than that. But basically, take any opportunity you can to video, because every opportunity out there is a learning experience in some way. This has taken a bit of time to put together, based on experiences with the summer. Ice cold mother. You were stuck in the Delta, and you want your mother to be cold.
Okavango Delta of Botswana, life can be quite hard and physically demanding. Cooking food is easy over an open fire. But what if you want to keep your food cold?
This is exciting. Really? Making my Milo ice cold. Really? Yeah. I won't lie. If it's not cold, I'm going to tell you guys. I expect it to be icy. Can I do this at home?
You can do this at home.
Yes.
But we don't need to because you'll have electricity.
Oh yeah, that's true. Not about that.
You have one nice cold Milo.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Press. I look forward to this drink.
Drink it now. Be careful, there's ice cubes.
Ice cold.
But at first sight, you look at that, well, you know, there's no questions, there's nothing there, but the kind of questions that can arise within the students from something like that they can bring to the next lesson are worthwhile. And then the understanding that comes off from that. Other things I've done, basically I've recorded my journey to school by car, 2 different routes. So the students can plot a distance time graph and see which might be the most effective way of getting to school, things like that. Previously, I had a video that I used to show in class, and then the students went away and plotted the graph, and then answered some questions about it. But of course, if they can't plot graphs and they can't understand the graphs, that's a waste of time. So now if they watch a video at home, take the readings at home, bring their readings into the classroom, then they've got the support of the teacher as they're doing the harder skills, the higher level skills. And finally,